Hello, the students of Universitas Terbuka. Now you are listening to the audio integrated with the modules of listening to. Before you listen to this cassette, you better to study all the modules. While you are listening to the audio cassette, don't forget to bring your stationeries and the modules. Students, the audio program of listening to consists of 3 cassettes. The first is for Module 1, 2, and 3. The second is for Module 3, 4, and 5. And the third is for Module 5 and 6. We will start from Module 1. This module discusses about elements of pronunciations and consists of 3 topics that are divided into 3 units. Unit 1 discusses about stress. On the second unit, you can study rhythm, and the last unit discusses about pitch and intonation. Now, let's discuss the first unit about stress. Listening 2.1.1a, Practice 1. Monosyllabic words.
Man, all, he, in, rough, will, and, call, it, she, cup, is, cuff, s, can, glass, for, lend.
2-syllabic words. First syllable stressed.
Baby, able, comfort, custom, desert, object, export, content, going, hotter, credit, pillow, rebel, comfort, escort, insult.
2-syllabic words. Second syllable stressed.
Ago, hotel, prefer, again, dessert, object, export, content, allow, believe, confer, declare, rebel, convert, escort, insult.
3-syllabic words. First syllable stressed.
Article, capital, complement, usefulness, character, family.
3-syllabic words. Second syllable stressed.
November, allowance, suspicious, sporadic, tomorrow, familiar.
3-syllabic words. Third syllable stressed.
Guarantee, advisee, engineer, personnel, afternoon, nominee.
Listening 2.1.1b, Practice 2. Compound words. First syllable stressed. Mealtime, someone, bookmark, footprint, heartfelt, penknife, daylight, railroad, clear cut, teacup, football. sugar mill. Compound words, both syllables are stressed. Dead tired, dead end, highland, by bicycle, floating feathers, terrible crash, with him, cold tonight, beautiful girl, all afternoon, flickering lights, beautiful girl. Phrases:
On Monday, by bicycle, with him, all afternoon, funny feelings, floating feathers, cold tonight, flickering lights, terrible crash, beautiful girl, beautiful girl.
Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Now listen to the poem 1, listening 2.1.1c.
The poem 1. The soul selects her own society, then shuts the door on her divine majority. Of truth no more.
Do you have any difficulties in listening to the materials? If so, you need to listen again. If you have understood the whole examples, do the exercises. Follow what the module asks you to do the next activities. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Listening 2.1.1d, Formative Test 1. Poem 2 is for questions number 6 to 10.
Stephen Crane, I stood upon a high place. I stood upon a high place, and saw below many devils, running, leaping, and carousing in sin. One looked up, grinning, and said, Comrade, brother.
This is the end of Unit 1, Module 1, Listening 2. Have you answered the all questions in Formative Test 1? Excellent. Check all your answer with the key. If you find any problems in doing the formative test, it would be better for you to listen and answer the questions again. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Listening 2.1.2a, Example 1, Free Verses.
Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lift up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is the King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle.
Listening 2.1.2b, Example 2, Sprung Rhythm.
Rain, rain, go away, come again another day. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children she didn't know what to do.
Listening 2.1.2c, Example 3, Metrical Rhythm. Osbert Swittle, on the coast of Coromandel.
On the coast of Coromandel, danced they to the tune of a handle.
Listening 2.1.2d, Example 4, Double Rising Rhythm.
The curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The lowing herd winds slowly over the lea. The ploughman homeward plods his weary way, and leaves the world to darkness and to me.
Listening 2.1.2e, Example 5, Double Falling Rhythm.
Double, double, toil and trouble. Fire burn and could-run bubble.
Listening 2.1.2f, Example 6, Triple Rising Rhythm.
And the widows of Asher are loud in their wail, and the idols are broken in the temples of Baal.
Listening 2.1.2g, Example 7, Triple Falling Rhythm.
Eve with her basket was deep in the bells and grass, wading in bells and grass up to her knees.
Listening 2.1.2h, Example 8, Rocking Rhythm. Poem 1. Most friendship is waning, most loving mere folly. Poem 2. Flow gently, sweet Afton, among thy green breath, and list while I sing thee a song in thy praise. Listening 2.1.2i, Example 9, Spondee.
Girls scream, boys shout, dogs bark, school's out.
Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Listening 2.1.2j, Formative Test 2, Objective Test. This poem is for questions number 7.
Thou mastering me, God giver of breath and bread, word strand, sway of the sea, Lord of living and dead.
Listening 2.1.2k, Formative Test 2, Objective Test. This verse is for questions number 9 to 10.
Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again.
This is the end of Unit 2, Module 1, Listening 2. Have you answered all the questions in Formative Test 2? Excellent. Check all your answers with the key. If you find any problems in doing the formative test, it would be better for you to listen and answer the questions again. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Listening 2.1.3a, Pitch 1a. Pitch level 1 or low pitch is usually used to end a sentence or line. It is the lowest level of pitch. Notice that the lowest tone in the sentences you just heard is placed at the end. Take this example. I'm tired. She's home. We are lucky. Listening to point 1.3b, pitch 1b. Did you notice that the lowest pitch for the sentences does not fall in the last part of the sentences? In the sentence 1 and 3, the lowest pitch is in the middle, while in sentence 2, the lowest pitch is in the beginning of the sentence. A. Pitch 1, low pitch at the beginning of a sentence. I think you are late. B. Pitch 1, low pitch in the middle of the sentence. No, it is not. I think you are late. He really wants to see you. Listening to point 1.3c, falling intonation. 1. Orders, calls, and exclamation.
Come here. Be a good boy. Go home now. Don't come in. Don't be lazy. Hey, John. Hello there. Ladies and gentlemen. Mr. John. Honey. Good Lord. Wow. Oh dear. What a pity. How strange.
2. Decided or final statements.
The sun rises in the east. It is time to go. Some things are better left unsaid. Seeing is believing. Somebody wants to see you. It is cold outside.
3. Question word questions.
What is your name? What do you need? Why do you leave? Who taught you that? Where does he go? Which one do you want?
Listening 2.1.3d, rising intonation. Yes, no questions.
Shall we go now? May I close the window? Did you have a good time? Is your birthday today? Do you mind if I close the door? Can you see him?
Polite request.
Please sit down. Come again soon. Come along, dear. Please pass the salt. Would you take this with you? Pay attention, please.
Statements.
I'm not surprised. I'll be back. That's ridiculous. It's not your business. It's all the same to me. Good morning.
Listening 2.1.3e, high normal sustained intonation.
I need an apple and a banana. He takes a trip to England, France, and Denmark. I saw Tutti, Ali, and Mira. In addition to that, the regulation should be reformed. On the other hand, it is difficult to apply. While I was listening to the radio, someone called my name.
Listening 2.1.3f, pitch and intonation. The brain is wider than the sky.
The brain is wider than the sky, for put them side by side. The one the other will include, with ease and you beside. The drain is deeper than the sea, for hold them blue to blue. The one the other will absorb, as sponges buckets do. The brain is just the weight of God, for lift them pound to pound. And they will differ if they do, as syllable from sound.
This is the end of Unit 3, Module 1. Well, that was our discussion on Module 1 about elements and pronunciation. If you think you don't understand the materials, please replay this cassette and listen again. If you have understood it, you continue to Module 2. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. we come to Module 2. This module discusses about facts and figures and consists of 2 topics that are divided into 2 units. Unit 1 discusses about tables, and on the second unit you can study graphs, diagrams, and charts. Now let's discuss the first unit about tables. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Listening 2.2.1a, Example 1.
Do you know how many cigars can we bring to the United Kingdom?
Well, we come from Indonesia, which is a country outside Europe, so we can only bring 50 cigars, or we are allowed to bring 200 cigarettes instead.
What about if I were from Portugal?
Well, you can bring 75 cigars or 300 cigarettes into the United Kingdom.
Listening 2.2.1b, Example 2.
You live in France and you want to buy some whiskey on a ship to England. You live in Mexico and you want to take some cigarettes to the United Kingdom. You live in Belgium and you have bought some presents for the friends you want to visit in London. You bought the presents in Belgium. You want to take some good Italian wine with you to the United Kingdom. You are 16 years old. You live in Kuwait. You want to take some cigars to a friend in Liverpool. You are English. You want to take some French champagne back to England.
Listening 2.2.1c, Example 3.
The Arrow is the most expensive photocopier. Xanten is slower than Bertha. Bertha is more reliable than Arrow.
Listening 2.2.1d, Example 4.
How wide is Xanten? How much is Bertha? How many pages can Arrow copy in 1 hour?
Do you have any difficulties in listening to the materials? If so, you need to listen again. If you have understood the whole examples, do the exercises. Follow what the module asks you to do the next activities. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Listening 2.2.1e, Exercise 1.
We've conducted a survey on people's feelings toward tourists last month, and the results showed that most people, or 67% of our samples, thought that the best thing about tourists was that they brought money to town. Moreover, tourism provided more jobs. Local people could also have better leisure facilities, said 8% of our respondents. The same percentage of people didn't really know the advantages of having tourists coming to their town. 5% of our respondents mentioned that they could meet interesting tourists. The same percentage said that the town built better roads to support tourism. Besides advantages, there were also some disadvantages felt by people of this town regarding tourists in their city. Most people said that tourists cause traffic jams. This took over 38% of the survey respondents, while 18% thought that tourists created too many crowds. 16% thought that tourists litter too much garbage, and 4% said that they cause too much noise. Not many people thought that tourists cause parking problems because only 3% gave that opinion. The least percentage of opinion was about hooliganism and bad behavior conducted by tourists in the city. It took only 2% of the respondents' voice.
Listening 2.2.1F, Exercise 2.
How much did tourists spend for internal transport in Britain in 1998? How much did tourists spend for entertainment in Britain in 1993? How much did tourists spend for shopping in Britain in 2003? How much did tourists spend for eating and drinking out in Britain in 1998? How much did tourists spend for services and others in Britain in 2003? How much did tourists spend for fares paid to British Air and shipping lines on travel to and from Britain in 1993? How much did tourists spend for accommodation in Britain in 1998? How much did tourists spend in Britain in 1993?
Listening 2.2.1G, Exercise 3.
Well, Mr. Morrison, we have here the Arnold Color Company sale figures for the past 5 years. What can you say about it?
Okay, in terms of sales, we are progressing exactly 1 million per year except from 1999 to the year 2000. We increased our sale for 1.5 million.
How do you do that?
Well, it's simply because we cut our price. In 1999, we sold a bottle of Arnold Cola for 13 pence, while in 2000, we are able to cut 2 pence per bottle. That's why in 2000, when we cut 2 more pence per bottle, we can earn 3 million in our sales and gain double in our profit.
As you said before, that when you cut the price, sales increase. You seem to cut prices from year to year. Do you gain higher sales and more profit?
Yes, we do, except in the year 2001, when we actually got less profit compared to the previous year. But the amount is not significant, just 0.1 million.
What about workers?
Well, we employ 145,000 in 2003, which is 20,000 more than in 1999.
Now, the last question, Mr. Morrison. How many countries have you sold Arnold Cola to?
In 2003, we have sold it to 28 countries. It's progressing quite dramatically since 1999, when we only distributed Arnold Cola to 12 countries and 18 countries in 2001.
Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Now listen to the interview and answer the formative test 1. Listening 2.2.1H, formative test 1A and 1B. Formative test 1A.
There are more readers who agree that British pubs should stay open all day than those who are against the idea. How many readers say that mothers of small children should go to work? How many readers say that women should only slim for medical reasons? Are there any readers who don't know whether football hooligans should go to prison or not? How many % of them? According to most readers, doctors should not let handicapped babies die? How many readers say that people should not smoke in trains? How many readers say that shops should be closed on Sundays? What issues have more contra than pro supporters?
Formative Test 1B.
You're allowed to take as many cigarettes as you like into Saudi Arabia. American citizens are not allowed to take Cuban cigars into the United States of America. You're allowed to take 2 liters of spirits into Austria. Mexicans can bring 50 Cuban cigars into the United States. You're allowed to take 400 cigarettes and a kilo of tobacco into Mexico. Visitors are not allowed to take cigarettes as gifts into the United States of America. As a visitor to Japan, you're allowed to take 200 cigarettes. You can take 2 liters of wine and 1 liter of spirits into Hungary. You can bring cigarettes, cigars, tobacco, wine and spirits into Saudi Arabia. Japanese residents can only bring 3 bottles of wine and 3 bottles of spirits.
This is the end of Unit 1, Module 2. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Now we will continue to Unit 2 about graphs, diagrams and charts. Listening to point 2.2a, Example 1.
Hi, Sal. What are you working on?
Hi, Ron. I'm working on the final report of our organization. We will have a yearly meeting next week. Do you remember?
Sure. Do you need help with it?
Yes. Can you check from the report how many % did we spend for supplies and correspondence?
Well, we spend 1% out of our total dues to each.
What about for trip and magazine?
We spend 7% for trip and 25% for magazine. Anything else?
Yeah, just one more detail. What about prices?
Well, only 16%.
Thanks, Ron.
Anytime.
Listening to point 2.2b, Example 2.
How much is spent by the club for supplies and correspondence? What is the main activity of the Community Development Club? How do you know? How much is spent for trips?
Listening to point 2.2c, Example 3.
The professions in Malaysia in 1970 were almost totally dominated by men. Many key professionals, including jurists, accountants, architects, engineers, and economists, were men. Women were better represented than men in professions like nursing, midwifery, science, and medicines. The only profession where women predominated was in the traditionally female area of nursing.
Do you have any difficulties in listening to the materials? If so, you need to listen again. If you have understood the whole examples, do the exercises. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Listening to point 2.2d, Exercise 1.
Bicycle sales began slowly when the store opened in July. only 25 bicycles were sold in that month. However, sales doubled in August when 50 bicycles were sold. Sales again increased in September. In fact, they again doubled and 100 bicycles were sold. However, sales remained steady at 100 in October. There were no increase. In November, there was an increase when 125 bicycles were sold. Then in December, sales suddenly increased greatly. During that month, 175 bicycles were sold. This was probably due to the Christmas rush to buy bicycles as gifts.
Listening to point 2.2e, Exercise 2.
The sales force has grown rapidly during the last 15 years. At the same time, in-service training has been maintained for our more senior sales staff. The results of our policies can be seen in the market increase in market share which our products have gained. Detergents up by 5% to a total market share of 25%. Soaps up by 2% to a total market share of 17%. Toothpaste up by 4% to a market share of 30%.
Listening to point 2.2f, Exercise 3.
In the year 2000, spending on training reached $132,000, while in 2003 declined $11,000. Only training on marketing and line management, which increased from $15,000 to $25,000 and $24,000 to $33,000. The company decided to decrease the expenditure for the other three kinds of training. Training on supervisory staff is the one which is cut the most, from $40,000 in 2000 to only $25,000 in 2003. Product management training was also cut quite significantly, from $35,000 in 2000 to only $20,000.
Listening to point 2.2g, Exercise 4.
Only Tokyo, which was less populated in 2000 compared to 1975. In 2000, Sao Paulo and Bombay were inhabited by more than twice as many people as they were in 1975. Two of the most populated cities in 1975 were Tokyo and Mexico City. In 2000, Shanghai is as populated as New York. New York wasn't significantly grown in terms of population. There were less people living in Calcutta than in Bombay in 1990. There were less than 5 cities inhabited by more than 15 million people in 2000. There were more than 5 cities inhabited by less than 5 million people in 1990. Los Angeles, Calcutta, and Buenos Aires were inhabited by approximately the same number of people in 1990. In 1990, Sao Paulo had more inhabitants than Rio de Janeiro.
Listening to point 2.2h, Exercise 5.
How many women on average worldwide who are in legislative assemblies? How many more widows than widowers are there worldwide? On average, how many children do people have in Latin America? What countries put more women in legislative assemblies than Latin American countries? How many more children do people have in Africa compared to those who live in industrialized nations? Are there more men or women who live in poverty? How many men refugees are there in the world? How many persons more do men earn salaries than women?
Have you understood the materials we've just discussed? If not, please rewind this cassette and listen again. If you have understood, you can go on to another side of this cassette to discuss the next materials. Now listen to the interview and answer the formative test 2. Listening 2.2.2i. Formative test 2a, 2b, and 2c. Formative test 2a.
According to one report earlier this year, the British watch more television each day than any other Western European country, with the average of 3 hours 10 minutes in a day, while people in Norway watch the least with 1 hour 18 minutes per day. Let us review the figures by observing the diagram. Greece, Portugal, and Spain are next on the list after United Kingdom, with the average of 3 hours viewing time in one day. Belgium follows by 5 minutes less viewing time, while Italy with 20 minutes less than those three countries. People in Ireland on average watch TV as long as 2 hours 90 minutes, while those who live in Austria watch TV 1 minute less than people in Ireland. West Germany and France are next with 2 hours 13 minutes and 2 hours 9 minutes viewing time each day. People in Sweden and Finland watch TV for 2 hours in one day, while people in Norway, the Netherlands, and Denmark watch TV less than 2 hours. People who are in the Netherlands watch TV for 1 hour 27 minutes, and those in Denmark for 1 hour 53 minutes.
Formative test 2b.
The new channel is less satisfactory than the other three existing channels. People were generally satisfied with the BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. BBC One was the most popular channel in both 1981 and 1983. More people were dissatisfied with BBC Two in 1983 than in 1981. More than 75% of people were dissatisfied with Channel 4. More people were very satisfied with BBC Two in 1981 than in 1983. More people were dissatisfied with BBC Two than with ITV in 1983. People liked BBC One better than any other channels in 1981 and 1983. There were more people who were satisfied than those who were dissatisfied with the TV channels in 1981. People who were very dissatisfied with the TV channels in the United Kingdom were never more than 25% of the total viewers.
Formative test 2c.
In February, sales increased to $80,000. The following month, there was a further increase of $20,000. In April, they remained constant at $100,000. In the next 2 months, they dropped by $40,000. As a result for this fall, they were back at $60,000 in June. The next 3 months saw a steady rise to $120,000 in September. This was followed by a dramatic fall to $40,000 in October. Sales rose in December for finished the year at $100,000.
This is the end of Unit 2, Module 2. Well, that was our discussion on Module 2 about facts and figures. If you think you don't understand the material, please replay this cassette and listen again. If you have understood it, you can continue to Module 3. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. We come to Module 3. This module discusses about interview and consists of 5 topics that are divided into 5 units. Unit 1 discusses about family. On the second unit, you can study food. The third unit is famous person, and the fourth unit is project journalism, and the last unit discusses about job. Now let's discuss the first unit about family. Listening 2.3.1a, Example 1.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have 4 elder brothers and 2 elder sisters. I'm the youngest in the family.
Listening 2.3.1b, Example 2.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I don't have any. I'm an only child.
Do you live at home?
Yeah, I live at home with my parents.
What do they do?
My mother is a doctor and my father is a lawyer.
Listening 2.3.1c, Example 3.
How many children, including you, were there in your family?
There are 3.
Were you the oldest, youngest, or somewhere in the middle?
I'm the middle child. I have an elder brother and a younger sister.
What was the age difference between you, your elder brother, and younger sister?
My brother is 5 years older while my sister is 2 years younger than I am.
Listening 2.3.1d, Example 4.
Could you tell me something about your family?
Well, I'm from a huge family. I have 4 elder sisters and 3 younger brothers.
That's huge.
Yeah, we always have fun during the holiday because my sisters will come to visit us. By the way, my brothers and I still live with my parents, while my sisters are all married and live in other cities.
It must be crowded during the holiday.
Inevitably, there are 6 of us in the house and a dozen more coming. My sisters, my in-laws, and also my nieces and nephews. But the more the merrier, you know.
Of course.
Do you have any difficulties in listening to the materials? If so, you need to listen again. If you have understood the whole examples, do the exercises. Follow what the module asks you to do the next activities. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Listening 2.3.1e, Exercise 1.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
No, I'm an only child.
How long has your family lived in the city?
Since I was born. How many brothers and sisters do you have? I have a brother and 2 sisters. Tell me about your family. Well, I come from a big family. Are you the oldest in your family?
No, I'm an only child.
Have your family ever lived abroad?
No, we've all been living here since 30 years ago.
How many children do you have?
I have 1 daughter and 3 sons.
Was either of your parents born in another country?
Yes, my mother was. She was born in Chile.
Do you have any brothers and sisters? I have 2 elder sisters. Was everyone in your family born in the city? No, I'm the only one who's born here.
Listening 2.3.1f, Exercise 2. Answer the following questions about your family. How many brothers and sisters do you have? Do you still live with your parents? What do they do? Do you have any aunts? Do you get together often? On what occasions? Listening 2.3.1g, Exercise 3.
Could you tell me something about your family?
Well, we live in Jakarta, but we don't come from there. My husband is from Malang, East Java. I was born in Yogyakarta, Central Java. My husband works in bank here in Jakarta. I'm a teacher. We used to live in Surabaya, but my husband was promoted and we had to move to the head office here in Jakarta last year.
What about children? Do you have any children?
Yes, we have a son and a daughter. Both of them live with us here in Jakarta. My son is 10 and my daughter is 8. Both of them are in elementary school. My mother also lives with us. She wants to be close with her grandchildren. My husband's younger sister also lives with us. She's in last year of university. She's going to be a doctor in a few months.
Listening 2.3.1H, Exercise 4.
Beth, can you tell me something about this picture?
Oh, of course. It's a picture of my family. I always carry it along with me wherever I go. Guess which one I am?
I think you are this little girl with shoulder-length straight blonde hair, the one with white t-shirt and skirt. Is that right?
Right. It's me 10 years ago. I was 8 at that time.
Tell me about your brother.
Behind me is my brother, Rob. He is 2 years older than I am. He's also blonde and taller than me. He's always so proud about that. Next to him is my cousin, Ronald, who is also 8. He's the one with a cap, dark hair, and braces. He's always laughing. All of us were born in England, and we were elementary school students at that time.
What about the beautiful lady with a cat sitting on her lap? The one with wavy blonde hair.
Oh, that's my Aunt Susan. She's an artist. I think she was 45, but she always looks beautiful.
Yeah, she is. Which ones are your parents?
Let me see. Oh, they are behind Aunt Susan. My father's name is Adam, and my mom is Mary. My father is the blonde guy with mustache, and my mom is next to him, the one with glasses. She's 40, and my dad is 8 years older. My mom is a doctor, and my father is a lawyer. Pretty good combination, huh?
Definitely. The ones at the back must be your grandparents.
Yes, my grandmother Joyce is a plump one with glasses, and my grandfather Peter is the bald one with glasses. She's 70, and he's 75.
What did they do?
My grandma is a housewife, and my grandpa had retired.
Where were they born?
Everyone in the picture was born in Canada, except for us, kids, and my mother. She was born in the United States.
Who are the couple behind you?
They are my Uncle Dennis and my Aunt Nancy, Ronald's parents. My aunt is tall and dark-haired. She always wears white pearl necklace and a wristwatch. My uncle has mustache like my father. He is as tall as his wife. My aunt is as old as my father, while my uncle is 2 years older. He is a cook, and his wife is a teacher.
A big family you have here.
Yeah, a big happy family.
Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Now listen to the interview and answer the formative test 1. Listening 2.3.1I, formative test 1A and 1B.
Nan, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
Oh, none. I'm an only child.
What about cousins?
Well, I have 3 and they are about my age. We go to the same school. Rilla is my favorite. She's very pretty. She wants to be a singer when she grows up. My other cousin is Sammy. He is nice and he can play lots of sports. Besides that, he's a book lover. The one I hate the most is Rick. He is so naughty and always gets into trouble. But I guess I like his company, 'cause sometimes I feel lonely.
Tell me about your parents.
My mother's name is Anne and my father is Gilbert. She's a secretary and he is accountant. My mom is a great cook. just like my grandma, Marilla. And my mom can speak 5 different languages.
Wow, amazing. What about your father?
Well, he's a successful accountant, but he's rarely home.
What about your grandparents?
Well, as I said before, my grandma is a great cook, while my grandpa Michael is a great storyteller. He likes to tell us stories when he comes to visit them.
What did they do?
My grandma was a teacher and my grandpa was a lawyer. Both are retired.
Well, who is your favorite in your family?
I guess my favorite is Uncle Daniel. He is not really my uncle. He is my cousin's uncle. He is a very famous doctor. He is also very kind. I want to be just like him when I grow up.
Well, good luck.
Now, this is the end of Unit 1, Module 3. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Now we will continue to Unit 2 about food. Listening 2.3.2a, Example 1.
So, how does it taste?
Well, it tastes sweet. I usually eat it as a dessert, sometimes with ice cream.
What's in it?
Chocolate chips, raisins, and other dry fruits.
Listening 2.3.2b, Example 2.
Fresh tomato pasta sauce. 400 grams pasta twists. Half cup grated Parmesan cheese for sprinkling. For the sauce, 3 tablespoons olive oil, 2 teaspoons sugar, 4 large vine-ripened tomatoes, 20 black olives, 1 cup shredded radical lettuce or arugula rocket, 2 plum cloves garlic crushed, 1 red chili halved, seeded, and thinly sliced, 2 cloves shallot crushed, 2 carrots diced, salt to taste.
Listening 2.3.2c, Example 3.
What do you need to make fresh tomato pasta sauce?
Well, first of all, you need pasta twists and a half cup grated Parmesan cheese for sprinkling.
What about the sauce?
For the sauce, you need 3 tablespoons olive oil, 2 plum cloves crushed garlic, 1 red chili, 4 large fine ripened tomatoes, 20 black olives, and 1 cup shredded radical lettuce or arugula.
Don't you need any seasoning?
Well, just a bit of salt according to taste.
Listening 2.3.2d, Example 4.
Fresh tomato pasta sauce. How to cook. 1. Bring a large pan of salted water to boil. Add the pasta and stir well with a wooden spoon to prevent sticking. Cook at a fast boil for 10 minutes until just tender. 2. To make the sauce, place oil, garlic, and chili in a small frying pan and cook over very, very low heat until garlic is cooked but not browned. Chopped tomatoes, place in a bowl. Pour warm oil mixture over tomatoes, place in a bowl. Remove stone from olives and coarsely chopped olives. Add olives and radicchio to tomatoes. Stir until evenly combined. Add salt to taste. 3. Drain cooked pasta in a colander as soon as it is tender. Return to warm pan and add half tomato sauce and tossed together using a pasta fork or wooden spoon. 4. Divide pasta equally between 4 individual serving bowls and top with the remaining sauce. Sprinkle Parmesan cheese over each portion or serve separately in a small bowl.
Listening 2.3.2e, Example 5.
Now, show me how to make cream puffs.
Sure. First of all, put the butter and water in a saucepan. Heat gently to melt the butter and bring to the boil. After that, remove from the heat.
What's next?
Quickly dip in all the flour and beat to a smooth paste with a wooden spoon until it forms a ball in the center of the pan. Leave it for 1 to 2 minutes to cool slightly. Then add the beaten eggs a little at a time, beating vigorously until there is a sheen on the paste.
What do we need to shape the paste?
All we need is a spoon and a spatula. Spoon the paste into 8 or 10 large mounds on a baking tray. Don't forget to lift the top of each one into a peak to make it nicer.
Wow, they do look nice. Now, are we ready to bake?
Yeah, bake at 200 degrees Celsius for 45 to 50 minutes. After that, split the puffs in half horizontally with a sharp knife to release the steam and leave to cool completely on a wire rack.
The next step would be to fill them with custard, right?
Right. When the puffs are cold, fill them with custard or whipped cream and dust with sifted icing sugar or dip the tops in melted plain chocolate.
Do you have any difficulties in listening to the materials? If so, you need to listen again. If you have understood the whole examples, do the exercises. Follow what the module asks you to do the next activities. Turn off your tape and go back to the module. Listening 2.3.2f, Exercise 1, Interview 1.
So, how does it taste?
Well, it tastes plain. I usually eat it as a main course with side dishes, of course.
What does it look like?
Well, it's white. We usually cook it with a special kind of cooker.
Interview 2.
So, how does it taste?
Delicious, especially for breakfast. We usually eat with bacon.
How's it cooked?
Well, fried.
Interview 3.
When do you usually eat it?
At breakfast.
So, how does it taste?
Well, it depends on what do you eat with or what you put on it. I usually eat with jam and butter.
Listening 2.3.2g, Exercise 2.
Well, Chef, what will be cooked next week?
We'll try my newest recipe, curried shrimp pancakes.
Wow, what do we need for this special kind of pancakes?
We have 2 parts to prepare. One is for the pancakes and the other is for the filling.
All right, let's start with the ingredients for the pancakes.
Okay, we need plain flour, eggs, skim milk, butter and salt.
How many eggs?
Just 2.
That's all?
Yeah, now the filling.
Okay, what do we need?
Green peppers, an egg, shrimps of course, and curry paste.
And then?
We also need milk, butter and plain flour.
What about the seasoning?
Just black pepper and salt.
Wow, that's what you have to prepare for next week. See ya.
Listening 2.3.2h, Exercise 3.
Prawn cocktail. 100 grams shelled prawns. Half lettuce shredded. For the dressing, 30 milliliters mayonnaise, 30 milliliters tomato ketchup, 30 milliliters cream, salt and pepper, lemon juice from 1 lemon. For the garnish, cucumber slices, lemon wedges. Chicken stir fry. 1/4 cup orange juice, 1/2 tablespoons corn flour, 100 grams skinless chicken, 1/4 cup chicken stock, 1 tablespoon soy sauce, 2 teaspoons vegetable oil, 1 clove garlic crushed, 1 teaspoon ginger chopped, 1 carrot thinly sliced, 1 red capsicum sliced, 1/4 cup sliced onion, 1 cup snow peas, 1 cup broccoli florets, 2 cups rice cooked. Cream puffs. 50 grams butter, 150 milliliters water, 65 grams plain flour sifted, 2 eggs beaten. Filling. 200 milliliters custard wiped, 100 milliliters cream wiped. Garnish. 50 grams icing sugar, 50 grams melted chocolate for topping.
Listening 2.3.2i, Exercise 4.
1. If you are using frozen prawns, thaw and drain them well. Spread them in a single layer in the bottom of the grill pan. 2. Crush the garlic cloves and put them into a small saucepan. Add the butter, lemon juice, salt, pepper, and oregano. Heat through to melt butter. 3. Pour the garlic butter over the prawns, turning them to coat well. Grill for 5 to 8 minutes until the prawns are hot. 4. Transfer the prawns to a hot serving dish. Pour over any butter from the pan and garnish with parsley and lemon wedges.
Turn off your tape and go back to the module.